Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, Rooted, where we are rooted in faith and growing in community. My name is Jake, and today I am joined by Eric, Julie, and Angel, and it is so good to have you guys back on the pod. Good to have you guys on the pod, and just wanted to just say hey, and how are you guys doing? You guys feeling good?
Fantastic.
Feeling
Fantastic.
good.
Doing
really
great.
good.
By the way, I go by Brick.
Oh, Brick.
Yes.
Okay, this is Brick, aka Eric, but we do call him Brick in the office. Well, hey, so today we had an awesome Sunday with our friend Pastor Luis from Impacto, and then we also heard a little bit from Danielle, who is our new executive director of Adopt a Block, and we're gonna get into that in a second. But before we do, we all went on a staff retreat, which is pretty much a time for us as a staff to get away, to spend time together, to dream, to plan, to do some things for the upcoming church year, which is really has already started, but is really going to start picking up soon. And one thing we did is we spent a lot of time together, made some memories together, and I know for me, laughed a ton.
Yes.
For sure.
Cried a little bit, you know,
For sure.
and everything in between. So let me ask you guys this. What was your favorite memory from staff retreat? Now, it could be with a person, it could be at a thing that we did, it could be anything. So, Angel, you want to start on what your favorite maybe memory is from staff retreat?
Absolutely. There's so many. But I think the first thing that comes to mind is our first evening that we got to retreat. We went to go see a movie all together. And the movie was an interesting one. But all that aside, the time that we all spent together outside of the movie theater, there was, how many of us were there? Probably like
Maybe 10 to 11 or 12.
10 or 12.
Yeah.
And we were all just standing in this circle and just laughing about some of these moments in the movies that we were just like, what are we watching? But it was so fun because outside of, you know, the direct thing that we all did together, it was the moment afterwards that we got to spend together.
Yeah.
Just the camaraderie, it really is just like the lifeblood of our staff. And it was just the perfect picture of it. And it was just so much fun. And I got to see some like softer and more, I don't know, just funny sides of people in that little circle. And it's just so funny of all places.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Julie, what about you?
Well, some of us didn't go to the movies. We went home and played cards, which was fun.
What card game did you guys play? Do you remember?
Kelly said it's called golf.
Oh, okay.
Do you know it?
I think I've played it, but I don't remember how to play it.
I don't
It's
know.
okay. It's okay.
Well, me and Felicia didn't know how to play, so she had to teach us. And of course, she's like, I play this with my grandsons. They're like 7. You'll be able to do it. But we were able to do it, but she beat the pants off of us. Like, it was just like the least, the lower score is like the winner, and she had like -2 or something. And then we were like up in the 50s or 60s or something.
That's all right.
So I would say that was, I guess, my favorite time is I rode down in a car separate from some other people because obviously we all have to ride separate to get down there. And just, you know, the car ride and spending time and just, you know, chatting and laughing and stories and that kind of thing.
That intentional time with people.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
I love it. Heck yeah.
Speaking of golf, some of us went mini golfing.
Yes, that was so
One of
fun.
the nights. It
That was
was
so fun.
my favorite part of the retreat. Honestly, kind of the same thing. You get to see people outside of their normal element. They're not necessarily in work mode, so we're just kind of playing around. We're having fun. We're joking around. And some of us are winning and having a great time just beating everyone.
Shout out to Brick.
Yeah.
Beat me by 2 strokes.
A win is a win,
Yeah,
brother.
I
A
was
win
like,
is
Can
a
I
win.
wait? I just have a question.
Yeah,
Just one question.
Yeah.
And by one, I want to emphasize one. Who got a hole in one in our group? I'm just asking. I don't need to know places.
That's huge.
Dude,
That's huge.
I
just-
forgot.
if you
I didn't
remember.
have the scoreboard, did it?
Okay.
Oh.
Oh. It was me.
It was you.
I just made it as discreet as
course.
possible.
But it was us 3 and Pete. Was Pete with us?
Yes.
Pete was
Yes.
with us, and we played the four other people from staff,
Yeah.
and our group won because
Yes,
they
we did.
forfeited.
Yeah.
So we were all winners.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.
true.
Amen.
Yeah.
But I win
Yes.
overall. So.
Yes. Got to give him, give him what he
He's just
deserves.
gonna keep throwing that in there.
He won.
Unrelenting.
Did I win?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you had the
Anyways.
girls where we weren't even keeping score. We were just all shooting the ball at the
Yeah.
same time. It was
So
flying off the
fun.
court.
That's fun,
It was
though.
going in the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
It was going down the
Yeah,
hill.
you're
Yeah.
playing. I saw somebody throw the ball one time. Like y'all
Yes.
playing bocce ball.
Yes,
No, I love
exactly.
that.
It's
It was good
That's
times.
freedom, you know.
Yeah.
Freedom.
It was,
out on,
it was
out
really
on the
hot.
links.
It was really hot, but it was so much
Yeah,
fun.
it was. It was
Yeah.
pretty warm.
But just having that time together where we can just laugh, have some joy, and we saw a little bit of competitiveness.
Oh, yeah.
and others
for sure.
maybe not so competitive, but
It's okay.
amazing time for
Yeah.
sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess to really be broad, my favorite thing is always just spending time with staff. I've been on staff for a good amount of years now, but it's always just spending time with people and getting to know them better.
Yeah.
Especially just because when you're in ministry, sometimes like yes, we're at the same building a lot, like pretty much every day of the week, but you don't get to like talk with people and spend time with people. And for me, like I consider like staff like my family, and so it's always it feels like at times just like making memories with my family, you know.
Right.
But that idea of unity just really stuck with me, and about kind of what Angel was kind of hitting on, and Julie, about how we are chasing after the same thing. Like our heart's desire as a staff, as a church. Yes, our mission statement is to engage everyone everywhere through connection with Christ and community. But the reality of it is we just want people to meet Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? If we just put it simply, we just want people to meet Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what we were doing at the staff retreat. We were gearing up. We were retreating to get the game plan together and just to be with each other, just to strengthen those bonds. And just to transition a little bit, we got to see a little bit of that picture of that that Great Commission. One thing Pastor Mark said yesterday, which I loved, was he's like, we're a part of a church that believes in the Great Commission and not the Great Omission. You know, like how we commit to the thing that Jesus has called us to,
Yeah.
and where we want to go and make disciples of all nations, and how we don't want to just what he say, don't sit and take, go and make.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And he's brought up Pastor Luis Martinez from Guatemala, and I know Eric, you've gone on a mission trip there, which I've heard just incredible stories about, and then we had Danielle Roach as our new executive director of Adopt the Block come up. But Pastor Mark really talked about this commission of Jesus. So let me ask you this: what when he emphasized the importance of the Great Commission and how a lot of churches omit what Jesus said instead of commit to it, the question is this: how did listening to these speakers remind you of this Great Commission of Jesus? Maybe in your own life, or maybe a reminder or a call to action. Like what did hearing about that do for you?
I mean, well, when Pastor Luis was talking about happy tummies and all of that, I mean, it's just, for one, amazing.
Yes.
I mean, that, you know, just not feeding these children, but,
Yes.
you know, feeding them, you know, the Spirit, the Word of God, too,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, and then to see, you know, parents being brought in, like churches being built. I mean, I don't remember the number, but like 50 something churches,
Yeah.
just, you know,
Crazy
amounts just from, you know, kids getting
Yes.
to know Jesus. And I think we need to take more of that in our local churches, that
Yeah.
like kids mean so much,
Yes.
you know, and not at our church at all, but I mean, there's churches that, you know, their, you know, kid service is a babysitting service,
Yes.
you know,
Right.
and I think that, you know, we need to take and look at that and be like, wow, like the people that we could be reaching through children, through you, through our next generation is incredible.
Yes.
And in eKids, that's something I talk about. I would say almost every Sunday we talk about the Great Commission, and not particular, maybe always in those words, but always to knowing that, you know, we are called, we are challenged
Yes.
to bring people to Jesus, to make disciples. And we actually have a segment that we call the Connect. And I always say, like, we're doing this because we need to learn how to live like Jesus. Jesus talked to people, he ate with people, he partied with people, you know, he went out and hung out with people. And if we're going to do that, especially in children, we need to learn to talk to people, you know. So we take a segment almost every week where, you know, we just learn to talk. And it's like,
That's
you know,
awesome.
You can't, you know, tell the world about Jesus if you're don't want to talk about Jesus.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think learning at
great.
a little age that like you can lift your hands,
Yes.
you know, you can talk about Jesus. And
Right.
if we make it the norm for kids, that's what, you know, needs to happen.
Man, that's
That-
powerful.
That's
Yeah.
so cool because I think in a church of this size and with having different campuses and stuff like that, I don't always get to see what you guys do. And I just think about all of our next gen ministries. I mean, shout out to Naomi, Julie, and Jake as well. Like, all you guys have your own worlds where you're reaching the next generation.
Right.
You're reaching those people who will be leading the church.
Yeah.
And it is so important. And maybe some people listening or watching have never heard, because I myself have never heard of that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Than what you do.
That's
and
awesome.
sometimes I might not even know what, some of the stuff that Naomi does to be so intentional with
Yes.
those babies, with the kids, and you with youth. I know we have a particular relationship and friendship where I get to see a little bit, but there's probably stuff that you still do that I have no idea.
Sure.
But it's so intentional. So truly shout out to you guys for all of you guys that you do for Next Gen, because I know I couldn't do it, but y'all are killing it at that. And I'm so thankful to have staff members that are, God has placed at this church to truly reach those people. But yeah, with the Great Commission and understanding how important that is, as you said, like I've had a first-hand experience over in Impacto and seeing everything on the ground there, and how Pastor Release had established that ministry, and now his son-in-law Tony has taken over, and just everything that's going on there. Even being able to go there for a week was just life-changing. Just seeing how much they love people, like you said, they feed and they reach people and love them, but their goal is to feed them the word, to reach them for Christ.
Yeah.
And they just use food, they use services and all these things just to be able to get to them, build that relationship, to then be able to share the gospel, share the real need that they have, regardless of what their physical needs are. And I think hearing from him this week hopefully was a reminder for all of us just how important that Great Commission is, but not only globally, but locally.
Right.
Easily we can take that structure, or that formula that they have there, and just establish that here. And that's great that we talked about Adopt a Block too, because that's in a way that's what we're doing, right? We're reaching people, we're creating relationships with them by providing for their physical need, but our end goal is to feed that spiritual need,
Right.
which is so great. It starts with that relationship to be able to share the truth with them.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was so eye-opening and sobering to even hear from Pastor Luis, who, had in his life had moved to the United States and then went back to go and
22 years,
I
dude,
know,
in the U.S. is
which is
wild.
And then feeling called and then going back to Guatemala to go and meet the needs there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then looking at it in our situation, and even something that he said is that the United States is top 3 mission fields
Yes.
at this point in
Yes.
the world.
Right.
And it's like, for us being in whatever cultural, community or perspective that we have, we miss out on just how needy we really are here in the United States. And so that's why I'm so grateful to even have seen from afar, like, the impact that Adopt a Block has made over the years, and how the torch has been passed through, generations, and through incredible people like, Mark Thompson and Pastor Tom, like all of these incredible people, and now in the hands of Danielle. And it's really encouraging to know that, like, the Great Commission, and knowing that the mission field that we are called to as Emmanuel Church is, yes, global, but we are making that impact here in our backyard through Adopt a Block and through emerging initiatives at our other campuses as well.
Yeah.
And it just, it sparks such a fire in my heart for our campus at Bethany of, like, what can this look like for us? What can it look like for Sussex County? And how can our church be, known for how we serve people, and known for how we do take the Great Commission everywhere that we go through the initiatives that we may have, but also just how do we build the culture of living the Great Commission on our sleeve? And this is just who we are. It's not just what we do, it's who we are.
That's good.
And so hearing from, both Danielle and hearing from Pastor Luis, it's just so encouraging. Like, these people are called and appointed to these places to not just meet the needs of those that they are appointed to, but to serve as a beacon to everybody else around them, to say, this is a focal point of who we are as Christians. It's not just something that we can omit, but it's something that we need to commit to,
Yep.
to something that is so much greater than, just our day-to-day initiatives.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Plus, Danielle, she mentioned she's part of eKids. She was
Yeah.
our small group leader, and I talk about my small group a lot, and means so much. And the Lord has just been doing so many things in the women in our small group.
Yeah.
And I mean, Danielle is amazing at building community. She's going to do an amazing job.
Yeah.
And it's just great to see, like, when you get into a small group, when you get into a family, and you can see God actually moving through like your peers, and it's just, she would have never thought. She would have never thought that this is, what God was like, had for her.
Yeah.
But was so faithful in just, feeding into us and faithful into, giving up too, because she has to give up being our small group leader because, in this time, you know what I
different
mean?
weight,
And, being able to realize that, sometimes there's a season and, being able to let go too, because, our small group means a ton to her, you know what I mean? So being able to step back and saying, I know I'm not going to be able to lead well in small group as I move in, to this next chapter. And I think that's just so commendable too. In your, obedience to God.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, I love hearing that from you, from Danielle's just perspective, because that's something that she didn't really talk about yesterday. It's like, I'm going to have to give up this in order to do the next thing that God called me to do well. And it just makes me think of even like Pastor Luis and like, when he got stuck over here during COVID, like just because something becomes inconvenient doesn't mean that you have to stop serving God or stopping to chase the Great Commission.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, just one thing, like Danielle, if you're watching this, I love that you're taking over as executive director of Adopt a Block, but I'm excited to see who blossoms as that next leader of that small group, because I have seen fruit from, you and some of the other people involved in that group, and just seeing your guys' life blossom, but also how you guys love other people. And it's just like, just because something else starts, it doesn't mean that ends. It just means somebody else gets to step up into that place of leadership. And then along with that, Pastor Luis buying computers in the middle of COVID. But what he did is like take that step of faith. He said, I know that this is an obstacle.
Right.
And it was an encouragement to me. And he was talking about him making a call. And it just encouraged me. Hey, Jake, you can make a call too.
I know. I was on that side. I'm like, yes. I need to start asking for things.
Listen. Monetarily, yes, but also like mentally, which we talked about. Even this morning at our staff prayer time. Just leaning on people who are resourceful in things that we need. Whether it is, hey, I need somebody to talk to about counseling, or hey, I need to talk to somebody about what is a good thing to do. For what would be a good business decision. And we have so many resources and people that we could reach out to.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's
speaking for me, and I'm not speaking for you guys, I know that my pride can get in the way of that sometimes, because I'm thinking in my head, I can take care of this and I can do this. And God's like, I gave you people, brother.
Yeah.
You don't got to do this by yourself. You're not meant to walk this thing alone.
Right.
And I think that we wear that because it's like, I should be able to figure it out because I'm in charge of this thing or I'm leading this thing. But God did give us resources and outlets. But yes, 100%. Like, I love that. You're just making that call. It's like, hey, you got $50 a week? I'm like, that's my guy right there. But I love that. And one of the focal points of Adopt a Block, really, and Impacto is to reach the lost and the least. And this was just like a really good reminder. And it reminded me, kind of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm going to go around the table and just maybe ask, like, what are some ways that your ministry is reaching the lost and the least? And let me go for youth real quick, for our student ministry here. And because I'm asking this because I know each of your ministries do reach the lost and the least. But we have students who come in every Sunday, and their parents don't even come to church, right? They just, the back entrance of the parking lot is blocked off. So some of them even come through like a little grass ditch and they hop over and they come in the building.
Which we don't recommend doing.
Which we do not, no, that's not recommended. Please walk through the parking lot. It's much safer. But, we have kids who like don't even know who Jesus is, and they've lived their whole life and they've heard of him as this religious figure and this person who's so far away. And we try to bring the gospel to them. We try to show them applicable ways to live out what Jesus said to live out. And then we really try to build community in like our small groups and try to teach them ways just to talk like like Julie said, we actually get the benefit of what Julie's group does by reaching the lost and the least and just having those simple conversations. But asking hard questions, asking tough questions in an environment where it's welcome to do so. And that's one thing that we really, strive to do in One Youth. And I know each of you guys do reach the lost and the least. I know, Julie, you shared a good amount about your kids' ministry. But, any thoughts on that from you guys?
Yeah, I would say as the campus pastor in Chrisfield, definitely our focus and my focus has always been community. We're a church that just focuses on loving people around us. And that could be as simple as sharing a meal with someone, could be as intricate or as exhaustive as serving at National Night Out that we had a couple weeks ago with the Chrisfield Police Department.
How many backpacks did y'all give out? Like
100.
That's insane,
100.
dude.
Yeah, for people, for the
To
kids
love on your community,
and also even an event like the Chrisfield Police Department had also taken some of their youth kids to a Shorebirds game, and I had the privilege of being able to chaperone and just be with those kids. And some of them I think hadn't even been to a baseball game before. Like, it was just really cool to spend time with those people. But that's our goal, is to just love and be there for the community, be a safe place where they could come if they're able to on Sunday mornings and just hear the word, but also regardless if they come on Sundays or not, still be there for them.
Yeah.
And be there for Somerset Intermediate School. We're a faith-based partner for them. They're about to start our second year with them. Being able to support the teachers there as well, because we know teachers, there's an upcoming school year. They're getting excited, but probably some of them are getting stressed. Some of them may be dealing with understaffing, especially leaders like principals, assistant principals. Being able to be there for them throughout the year, praying for them, just showing them some kindness, giving them little snacks or expo markers if they need them, stuff like that. That's what our goal is in Chrisfield, just loving our community, showing them that, we're there for them, regardless if they ever step foot in the church or not. We show them Jesus by loving them.
Love that.
Thank you. I'd say the same thing to my kids, that we disciple people by showing Jesus through ourselves. You know what I mean? So they can be creating a disciple by sharing their pencil. You know what I mean? Like being kind. When there's kids go through a lot nowadays, you know what I mean? And when there's a kid struggling, but one of our kids is nice to them every day. One of our kids, you know what I mean? Like I said, just, shares a pencil or whatever it may be, letting our kids know that we're called to love people. And, to kids, sometimes when you say things like, go to all the nations and create disciples, you know what I mean? They're kind of like, what do I do with that?
Right.
But it is, like you're saying, giving a expo pack of markers to a teacher is the same concept. You know what I mean? Just letting them know, kindness.
Yes.
Kindness goes so far.
Yes.
Into, like I'm saying, renewing someone's mind to, Christianity or whatever it may be.
Very good.
Be in the gospel. I love that.
Yeah. And it's incredible. I love hearing from Brick talking about Chrisfield, because as a newer campus pastor for myself, I look at Chrisfield as, one of those influencers on how we can operate as a campus, and same with Central, and, especially with the next gen and all of those sort of things, and finding the needs and those people that we can engage in the mission and the effort of engaging everyone everywhere. And I'm going to shamelessly plug this, but we have the opportunity to do that and meet literally the lost and the least through the deaf community in the Ocean View area. So starting this upcoming Sunday, we're starting our Emmanuel Bethany Deaf Ministry, which in Ocean View, I'll go rewind just a little bit. Less than 5% of the deaf population in the world knows Jesus. That's globally. That's not just in America, but globally.
Yeah.
And one of the largest deaf communities on the East Coast is in Ocean View, Delaware, which is less than 10 minutes from our campus. So what we're able to do is meet a community that I didn't even know existed as far as in our backyard, but engaging them and knowing that when it comes to bringing the Great Commission and serving the lost and the least, it's like, it's almost like I see it as when you talk to a child and going down on their level. That's how we are doing this, is saying like, hey, we want to put as much effort as we can into communicating with you. So learning sign language as a church, and appointing leaders for this ministry that are going to be interpreting worship and interpreting the message and things like that, where we can meet them on their level and say, you're not forgotten about.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see, like, since we've gotten there at Bethany, it's like left and right, we're like, wow, so many people that we can engage with, and we can meet them with the gospel literally in their own language. So that's just like the most recent and most exciting part about what we're doing in Bethany. But it's just so encouraging to hear how everyone is, committing to this. It's really, really cool.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I love just hearing about each and every, like, one of your guys' impacts. And, there are certain stories which we do hear more in depth as staff. And I just want to encourage you, if you're tuning into this and you heard, either Julie or Eric or Brick,
Thank you.
about their ministry and something stuck out to you, I encourage you to have a conversation with them, to try to get up with them, to hear from them, and even just other people on our teams. This isn't meant to be a plug for joining a team, but it's turning into that, because there is so much good work that's being done here. And we do need people, but man, y'all are each just doing incredible jobs in each area, and I just love hearing a little bit more in depth about what each of you are doing. And just to kind of close today, and we're gonna pray in a second, but we were able to have this staff retreat last week, and I know it was a lot of information and a lot of work, but it was a retreat, and I just think that's a really good example that we're following, that Jesus set, right? Like, before we go and do something, we have to go and be someone, and that's a child of God. And so if you're listening to this and you're watching this podcast, and we hope that you're encouraged today, hope that you learn a little bit more today about what Emmanuel does, who we are, and everything in between, from babies to Chrisfield to Bethany to online. But it is so important that we go and get rest with our Father before we go and do anything, because like somebody said on our retreat, we have to make sure we're pouring well out of our cup, because people always get something from our cup, but is it full of God's Spirit, or is it full of our flesh?
That's good.
So make sure you retreat before you go and do, especially with this upcoming school year. And so that's what we got for Rooted today. Julie, would you mind praying us out right now? Thanks.
Dear God, thank you so much for this message that Pastor Mark took a pause for us so that we could be able to see the purpose of why we do what we do, Lord, that sometimes it gets lost, it gets murky sometimes, Lord, and we need those pauses. We need those times that we can stop, reflect, that we can listen to hear from you and hear where you want us to be going, Lord. And so I just thank you for the time that we got to go away as a staff, for all the things that were revealed to us during that time, for the laughs we were able to have, and mostly that you met us there, Lord, and that you had something for each of us to take home, Lord. And I thank you for that. I thank you for our global and local ministries, Lord. They are going to do a mighty work for you, and we can't wait to see where you are taking all of these ministries, our church plants and all of that, Lord. It's so much that we have no idea that you have in store for us, Lord, but we are so excited and honored to see and do for you. We love you, we praise you, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.